Stream of consciousness. Let it fly. It is what it is. Fuck YouTube. Free thought. Maybe talking some truth, maybe talking some shit. Opinions that matter, opinions that don't even fucking matter. Well, there's only one way to sum this up. This YouTube channel, it's whatever. And that's the way I like it. Don't be scared. Just fucking build. I'm going to dedicate this video to my daughter and my son and everybody out there who's in a relationship that you're just not sure about. And it doesn't have to be a interpersonal relationship. It could even be a business partnership, because that's a relationship too. So let's get into this thing now. You know, I think, now don't quote me because I'm gonna try, but I believe DMX said, always trust in people to be themselves, but trust in the fact that you can see them well. Now, I think I got it right. I think that's what DMX said. I heard that shit, my mind was fucking blown. You know, it made me think about how many humans on a daily basis speak one way and move another. It's very confusing to a person like me who likes to observe and understand what I'm seeing in order to gain knowledge. But this DMX shit, Lord have mercy. You know, all you women and men in relationships that happen to be toxic, I always tell people, don't ignore the red flags. But they do, because they are either in love or just that lonely. But trust people to be themselves, because you can act one way, slap on a mask, you see it every day. But the true self is a fucking habit, and habits are hard to break. So a liar is going to lie because that's how long they've been doing it. Which is why when you catch someone like that in a lie, don't fall for the, I'm not perfect, no one is, but at least I'm trying. No, because trying to improve is also a habit. People that really want to improve will show the work. Your friend who wants to really lose weight, you're going to at least see them trying to go to the gym. Little by little, baby steps, 3 times a week or more. That's developing a new habit. It's like picking up a cigarette 3 times a week or rolling a fucking blunt when you're stressed. That's what happens when you make an attempt, when you try. But when you see people try and then give up, watch them. See if that's a habit too, because that's who they can be as well. If a person says they want to be honest but consistently lies, you don't see them trying each day to be different, that's a liar. Doesn't make them the worst person. I've loved liars and been a liar myself, but I eventually developed better habits of honesty, mostly because I never liked lying in the first place. But if a person says, quote, I'm looking for the right person, I just can't seem to find them, and they could be a man or a woman, and yet they always talking about who they recently just finished fucking, and that's who they are. They like to fuck other people, numerous people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you speak the opposite of what you do, then you're being disingenuous. You're wearing a mask. You're not being who you are. So people like me, the observer, must see them, and yes, judge them for who they are presenting themselves to be. Then you can make an informed decision on actually dealing with these people. Because just because someone is promiscuous doesn't mean they aren't a good person to be friends with. Just because someone is a liar doesn't mean you can't be involved with them. But think, if you know who you're dealing with, isn't it way easier and better on your mental health? You know, there's so much brain processing that goes into, quote unquote, figuring out who someone is when their habits are right there, front and center. Even being moody can be a habit. But notice that everyone has moods, but habits are consistent. So when you're dealing with somebody that's consistently moody, then that is who they are. But every human being has moods. Every human being has emotions from time to time. But the point is, don't blind yourself. Assess their habits, judge them, and accept them, or not. And when they say, quote, I'm a work in progress, motherfucker, we all are. But watch them and see if they are actually putting in daily work to be better than who they showed themselves to be. Trust people to be themselves, but you have to trust in your ability to see them and, yes, judge them. There's nothing wrong with judging what you see and experience. You may be wrong, but you can be right as well. Shit, if somebody went out on a date and showed themselves to be very loud and disrespectful, would you think it's okay to give them a second date? If not, then that's judgment. Good for you. Even if you gave that person a second date and you made an assessment, a judgment that you will give them a second date, that right there is judgment on your part. Maybe you just said, you know what, this person, maybe they had a bad day. I'll give them another chance. That's a judgment. If you saw a woman who looked nuts asking to babysit your kids, would you let her? No? Good. That's called judgment. Stop being hypnotized by these hashtags and people telling you not to judge them. People telling you to give them excuses. People are telling you to ignore their behaviors, their habits. These are the same people that don't want to take responsibility for their behavior. And when you assess their actions, when you judge them on their behaviors, then they're going to fight you on it. They won't accept it. They will fight them judgments. They'll fight those very truthful assessments, because it is far better for them to live in their fantasy world where everyone makes mistakes and no one should be judged for their character, for their actions, for what their actions have caused other people to feel. You can't judge every book by its cover, true. But sometimes a naked woman on the book cover does mean that there's going to be sex or nudity in the book. Stop getting rid of your fucking common sense. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a relationship and you really care and love this person, but you're not sure if the person is toxic, make a journal of their behaviors. It's not a lot of work if you really love somebody. Those people know who they are. They know. The lovers out there. How you doing? How y'all doing? The lovers know. It ain't work. It ain't work at all, because you really do want to understand the person that you love, because you want your relationship to work. But if you do that journal and you write down any time that you see some negative habits out of your partner, you'll begin to get a paper trail. I like Color Note, but there's many different apps out there. I write daily journals anyway for myself, but the bottom line is, yes, journal. Journal when you see habits out of your partner, and write down the positive habits too. If your partner gives you a rose every Thursday, write that shit down. You're not trying to kill the other person's character profile. You're trying to basically see the entirety of their character. And I promise you, as time goes on, you'll begin to piece together the person that you're dealing with. And when all of this truth is in your face, eventually, you will have to assess this person and make a fucking decision on what you want to do with yourself and what you want to do in that relationship. You can either part ways, you can choose couples therapy, or you can choose to accept this person as they are. But you're going to walk forward with much more knowledge and wisdom. And the shit that used to piss you off and make you feel like you was going crazy, it's not going to do that anymore, because you know that this is just this person's character. And make sure to write down the times that they're trying to be different, because trying to be better should also be a habit. Not once every blue moon shit, Now, in the end, you can either tell this person about the journal that you're keeping when all is said and done, or you can always keep it to yourself, because it's not really their business. But trust me, if you do tell a person about the journal that you made, they'll always try to make you feel like, oh man, you was going extra. We ain't had to do all that. There's nothing extra about protecting your sanity, folks. When you're loving somebody, you're already willing to do things that you would have never done. You're already no longer in your normal mind when you love somebody. But let me tell y'all something. And again, this is for all of the lovers out there and my children as well. What you don't want ever is for someone to make you feel like you no longer have any kind of intelligence or common sense. Intelligence and common sense are very hard to come by, because you have to go through experiences to learn those sons of bitches. So don't let anybody take away from the fact that you are an intelligent person, that you are doing things in the wisest way possible. That's intellect and that's common sense. That is wisdom. When you do things the opposite of that, that's ignorance or niggerishness. But the bottom line is, there's a lot of people out here, men and women, that want to play games because they don't want you to see who they are. And these people will put you in a deep matrix, emotional type shit. and you don't have a fucking Morpheus to get you out that shit. And you so in love that you kind of don't want to get out of it. So that journal, that's to help you help yourself. And a lot of y'all do not want to help yourselves because you're scared of pulling out of the matrix or finding out the truth about your partner, your love. But think about it like this. Your love was not a lie, but the person that you're in love with is. So don't be so hard on yourself, because it's not shame on you for loving somebody. It's shame on them for not being appreciative of the love that you gave them. Because there's a lot of broken people in this bitch that don't know what to do with somebody who genuinely shows them care and love. Real deal love. There's a lot of people that are used to dishonesty or have been hurt. And when they run into something or somebody that's truly honest, they can't believe it. And so they look at this honest person as though they must be dishonest themselves. That this honest person cannot be who they actually say they are. These honest habits that an honest person has. No, they can't be real. They can't be. Those of you who are out there that are truly honest people, this is the world that you're dealing with. Those people out there who are truly loving, you can run into people that don't know how to love you back on their best fucking day. They just have no fucking concept of it probably because something happened in their lives, something that you had nothing to do with. And then when you assess them and you judge them as having a problem accepting love, then a lot of times those people will protest because they would rather believe that there's nothing wrong about their behavior or their habits. So as I said earlier, you have a choice to make at that point. Because if you left the situation, and this is common sense, if you leave that situation, well, technically, there wouldn't be no one to assess these people or judge them in the first place. And perhaps they would have some sort of peace living in their homemade world that they made for themselves. I've lost a best friend that way. You know, my wife tells me I should actually try to mend that bridge, but I tell her I think my friend is better off in the world that he built for himself. Because all I did was assess some of his behaviors and it went off the rails. And to be honest, he had a pretty hard life anyway. So it takes a long time to build this world for yourself, this faith. And the last thing you want is your faith shaken, even if it's the truth about your character. I get it. I see it a lot in this society. And if you think about it, you probably do too. Shit, you probably even see it when you look in the mirror. Self-confidence and faith, they are both the same and are hard to build. So yeah, people don't like that shit shaking. And part of the job of being an older person is to educate our children and anyone else that will listen. I have definitely put more and more people onto this mantra of observing and assessing and judging habits versus moods and talking. Moods are wishy-washy and talk is cheap. Let's look at those habits. Because at the end of the day, the habits are the real. And a lot of people want to say who they really are or how they want to be. A lot of people want to say that they are trying, but their habitual actions, their behaviors show what they are really doing. And when you point it out to these people, to any of us, the immature person will either deny it or give excuses for their behavior or outright say that you're wrong, even though they keep doing it. But a person that really wants to change, they will listen, especially if you come at them respectful and show them receipts. That's what that journal is for, receipts. And when you have a person that doesn't want to see their own receipts, well, you have a person that just basically wants to live in their own world. They've created an entire fantasy world, a fucking lie. And everything that they do is for a reason. Sometimes they feel it's for the greater good what they do. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, the truth, the reality that we all live in, no one asked them to do that shit. No one asked them to do anything else for the greater good. No, you made a choice. These people made a choice. They, of all people, made a judgment of what's best. There's the irony, folks. So to be clear, everyone fucking judges. It is a part of human nature, and it is a part of the survival complex as a human being. Trust that people will be who they are, but you must trust in the fact that you can see them well. Rest in peace, DMX. Even on the way out, bro, you still drop some of the realest shit that motherfuckers ever heard.